going to be talking about something that is very personal to me. Um, Kind of a hobby, I guess, in a way. Music is somewhat a hobby. So listening to music is one of my favorite things to do when I'm studying and, sometimes even when I play games, but most of the time when I'm playing games, I want to be able to hear the volume of what's going on. So most of the time I listen to music when I'm studying. So I thought that I would go over one of my favorites, if not my favorites, bands, albums that they put out in 2009, no, late 2018, and started having like live concert versions in 2019. So it's Imagine Dragons. If you guys don't know, one of my favorite, maybe a fun fact about me that you guys would want to learn is that I'm a huge Imagine Dragons fan. Like, huge Imagine Dragons fan. I've been listening to them for about 2 years now. I heard about them back when I was a lot younger, back when I was like 12 or something, when I first listened. No, I think I was like a little later, 15 years old, I think. And I actually listened to the radio for the very first time on the car radio, excuse me. Um, and I heard an Imagine Dragons song. Now, the radio, they always play these songs, like these, what a lot of people consider overrated songs because they're played so often, like Radioactive, Thunder, Believer. And really, that throws a lot of people off who listen to Imagine Dragons because they're like, oh my gosh, it's the same old stuff. The lyrics are the same, they mean the same thing, and it's just too much the same thing. And I get it. When you listen to something or do something too many times, you're gonna get bored of it. It starts losing its meaning or touch. So that's what a lot of people think of Imagine Dragons. And at first, I had the exact same reaction, but eventually, over time, I actually gave Imagine Dragons a shot. And it's funny because the very first uh, song that I listened to from them that I liked was Shots by Imagine Dragons in the Smoke and Mirrors album. And then I started listening to all the Smoke and Mirrors songs, and I was like, hey, this is actually pretty good. And I started listening to their other albums, giving them a bit of a try. Gradually, I didn't become a fire breather automatically, but over time, I started learning about myself that I actually really like these songs. They really do appeal to me. And what I like about them is that they're so poetic. I feel like the way that Dan Reynolds, the lead singer, and he writes all the music. His band just plays them and helps produce it, but he's the one who writes the lyrics and mainly writes most of the songs. So I think that he's a very poetic way of explaining his thoughts and what he's trying to convey through his song and the message behind it. Thank you for subscribing. Hi there. So one of my favorite albums, because of how poetic he's able to produce his songs, is Origins, because I think that the songs on there are very meaningful. So I thought I'd just go over each one of them and see what you guys think about them. This is my honest opinion. I've listened to a lot of other people's opinions and I've taken away stuff from each of them. A lot of them have very bad reviews, negative comments, because it's a later album. Their earlier albums were hits, like Night Visions, Smoke and Mirrors. Those were the main two. A lot of people feel like Evolve is kind of just like, yeah, but some people are like it's great, some people are like it's horrible. Then Origins is where it's like, okay, yeah, this is not good. And then you get into Mercury and Loom where it's just like, okay, this is trash, right? A lot of people are like that. I don't think necessarily that Mercury and Loom are trash. I think that they're not as good, but we'll get to that eventually. Right now, I just want to go over Origins. And I could have done it chronologically and do Night Visions first, but I felt like Origins was just a great way to start. So I want to go over each one of those songs. If you guys have anything to say, obviously, I would love to hear what you have to say about these songs. Just trying to keep it appropriate. And I have the list down in front of me. I know all the songs, but I just want to know like how they produced it when the album first came out. Thank you for subscribing. So I'm doing it based off of each song that came out on the album. Like what's the first one, then the second one, right? So let me go over those ones. Excuse me. I have a runny nose, so sorry about that. First song was Natural. Okay, so this one, I know for a fact that that one actually had a music video that came out, and it was super awesome. I looked at it and I was like, oh my gosh, this is straight up like Imagine Dragons stuff. This is stuff that you imagine from Imagine Dragons, right? The kind of content you would, assume that they're gonna produce. It was very dark, but also fun in a way. They're very experimental about their music videos. You can see from the more boring ones like Roots, I think, the music video of. Then you get to I Bet My Life, which is just so much fun going on. Then you have stuff like Bad Liar, Natural, iconic music videos that came out from them. So I think that that was a very good shot. But now I'm going to talk about the actual song itself, right? That's what we're really ranking here. Natural has a huge, very different meaning for most of his Dan Reynolds songs. Okay, most of them, like Whatever It Takes, Believer, Thunder, it's all about motivation, right? Trying to be a better version of yourself, getting better every day, learning from your mistakes, learning through your experiences, and just going up, rising up to the top. Because you can, it's only uphill from here. As you grow from birth to, your old age, you're just becoming more knowledgeable. You become more smart, intelligent, and you have a lot more wisdom, right? So through your experiences. And that's what he's kind of talking about whatever it takes and all that stuff. But natural is very different because natural is not talking about that. Natural is more or less talking about how society is a really dark place in the end. Like you look at it and you think, okay, my life's going great. But you have to also recognize that some people are not living that great life. Some people are not living it as well as you may be. And just, you don't have to necessarily be like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. And you just acknowledge it. And now, obviously, Dan Reynolds, I don't know what his, well, I actually do know what his politics are. But Natural does not go straight, it does not delve into the politics of it. It's just more or less of society as a whole, how that there are problems, there is chaos. They hide it up really well. It's hidden up really well, so you don't know about it. Or it's less knowledgeable to people who don't, search on the media and stuff. And the reason why I say that it's not going into politics is because if you guys actually listen to a lot of the demos, which are like demos as in songs that were produced but never put out publicly, that he has, because a lot of them were recently leaked in 2025. A lot of the old Imagine Dragon demos were released, and a lot of them from Evolve especially, he delves into his politics about like life. And I'm not extremely fond of that. Also because, well, one, because I don't agree with them, and also because I just don't like how I don't like it when singers start talking about politics. Like that's not what you're supposed to do, really. I don't think that that's meant for you. You know, I'm not saying politics aren't meant for singers, but I'm saying in your songs, I would not want to convey that to a younger audience. Okay, but again, Natural's not going there, so good for him, right? And it's a huge, wonderful beat, like just rock Imagine Dragons. And I know Dan Reynolds said he's not a rock band, right? He doesn't want people to think they're a rock band. Imagine Dragons is not a rock band, but this is one of those songs on the album that is like just full plain rock. You can tell he really put his heart and soul into this, and the screaming. There's not really screaming, but I would say like more yelling. Screaming kind of on the higher end of the spectrum, right? So he's yelling sometimes when he feels like that's the part that makes the song so iconic, is that there's so much going on, and the beat drops like right when he says when you're standing on the edge face up. That second time to the pre-chorus to the chorus, it's so cool, that beat drop, that you realize like, oh my gosh, I get it now. I have had my epiphany on life, and I realize just how much more dark it is sometimes. you know. And then, of course, the meaning of the lyrics is just like so awesome. The way that he puts it together, that's the price you pay. Leave your heart behind and cast away. Just another product of the day. Rather be the hunter than the prey. That's such a cool like verse. Those are such awesome verses. Just like the way he puts it together is just so cool, and it sounds like animals, right? I think the main comparison that Dan Reynolds is making in this song is between society, like humanity, and the animal kingdom, right? Because that's why he says like, rather be the hunter than the prey. You rather be the one who lives, right? Because the prey is always the one who eventually gets dominated and eaten, right? And killed. So what would you rather be? Would you rather sacrifice yourself or sacrifice someone else? Right? And in the end, that's where it comes all down to. And you see that a whole bunch in horror films. That's what they're always trying to convey, is that it's between you or someone else. And you bet rather it be someone else than you, right? So that's what Natural's kind of like. And I think it may just be one of the most awesome songs on the album. For a while, I thought it was overplayed, and I thought that like, oh my gosh, I'm just so sick of hearing it. So I want to listen to some of the underdog songs. Natural is considered one of the like an S tier song for most people. But eventually I started listening to it again. Sometimes you can get a break from a song. So I took a long break and I started listening to it again, and like, yeah, this is a super cool song. And it's so open to interpretation. When it comes to the music videos and then the actual lyrics, like you can apply it to your own life sometimes. Sometimes you're just like, oh my gosh, how is this guy so good at this, right? He's a natural, you know. But at the same time, it's also a dark thing, you know, because someone shines, that takes away your shine in some way. So that's kind of how I applied it myself, and yeah, no, it definitely has a lot of meaning behind it. So that was a really cool song. I would put it in like probably out of all the songs in the album, maybe fourth or third, my favorite song. So we're gonna move on, but I might come back to it later. So because we have a lot of songs to get to. This is like what 12 songs. There's more though. Oh no, yeah, this is like there's 16. Never mind. There's some additional ones technically. Next was Boomerang. Okay, Boomerang is how do I say this? Boomerang is like a I don't want to say it's a double-ended sword because that's not the right uh you know proverb. I guess I don't think it's a proverb. I don't know what it's even called, like a saying. Yeah, it's not the right saying for it. But Boomerang was like, it's I guess it's ambivalent. It's ambivalent. You know, there's a lot of mixed feelings on it. Some people are like, this is such an amazing song. Most people, I would say most people though, are like, no, this is trash. Because the problem with Boomerang is that it's just so repetitive. The beat and then also the um, lyrics. The I'm bad at letting you go, letting you go, letting you go, letting you go, moving on, moving on, moving on, moving on. It's like you hear the same thing going on multiple 4 times. That's 4 times you're saying the same thing, and that gets really, really annoying to a lot of people. And obviously, a lot of people don't have a high tolerance for waiting or patience. So I understand why a lot of people would not like it. But for me, this is such a beautiful song. So we start off with like this watery kind of like jungle zen feeling because of the instruments that they put in there, that little electric kind of feeling. And then you go straight into this kind of upbeat thing where it's like it's happy. But really the meaning of the song is basically that I'm unable to let you go. As much trouble as we have, it's very difficult for me to get rid of you. Like I can't get over you, right? So like imagine if you have this crush, right, in high school. Let's say you have a crush in high school and then all of a sudden, she finds someone else, right? She finds someone else and you didn't have that opportunity. You're a friend, but you don't have the opportunity to make, the final step. Um, then you're like, okay, well, I'm gonna move on. I'm gonna find someone else. But she's always in your mind, right? So you always like, okay, yeah, this is still happening. I can't let her go. She's like a boomerang, right? It's like it's a metaphor. It's a play of words, right? And it's really good. I like that he connected it to a boomerang because most singers don't do that. They don't connect it to like a certain object. And a boomerang is just such a great way of conveying that message of never being able to let go. Um, so I think it's a really good song. Yeah, I will agree. It does get repetitive. It's repetitive, 100%. But is it a beautiful song? Is it one that I will listen to again? Yeah, definitely. Um, so yeah, no, Boomerang definitely up there. Not top four, but I'd say maybe 5 or 6. Next was Machine. Machine is a very cool song for me. They actually performed this one live. I forgot to say, Boomerang was never performed live, and I don't know why. It's such an amazing song, and they wouldn't perform live. It actually got a lot of views. It's like their 4th top listened in Origins, but they didn't perform it live, so that's kind of sad. Machine though, they did perform it live a couple times in the early part of the Origin tour. So Machine was performed live, and it's an awesome song, both live and the record version of it, right? The one that actually came out on the album. So first of all, this one is more of that one of those like kind of outsy songs, kind of eccentric, different from the rest, an outlier. So it was interesting to see this one come out. Machine is about like not like it's similar to Believer in a way, that it's about like reaching the full version of yourself and not letting not letting the naysayers get in the way. People will say what they want, but you can be yourself. Just be yourself. You're not meant for anyone, right? You don't work for anyone. You work for yourself. And that is a motto that you can use for it in your life, right? You're doing this for yourself. Whatever you're doing it for yourself, right? When you go to school, people can, there's bullies out there, obviously. There's always people who are just very, crappy people. And that's okay, though. That you're not doing it for them. You're not, that you're not their toy, right? You're meant to move forward in your life. This is your life, not theirs. So what does it matter what they think, right? So that's what kind of Machine is about. And the awesome thing about Machine is that they actually use mechanical noises. Like in the bridge, you can hear that little electric guitar. It just works so perfectly. It sounds like a razor saw, or is not no no sorry an electric saw going across, or metal scraping metal, right? Or like a hammer against a nail. That was at the very start. Those little claps, that kind of works, and the whole song, it kind of revolves around that. I really liked how in the bridge, uh, no, not the bridge, the final chorus, he added Dan Reynolds. He added that little like when it goes like what was it? It goes like because I've been wondering, and you hear that, whoa! It's like a kind of interesting way of just like showing that, like, oh, here we go again, right? And obviously, I don't sing it very well, but if you were to listen to it, it would sound really awesome. So, Machine is a really cool one, and at the end too, man, it's such a nice song. Really, I would put that up as my second favorite. Honestly, it's a really cool song. Maybe third because there's Bad Liar and Zero. Those ones are good ones. Next is Cool Out. So this is the one where I'm gonna have to start putting a little bit of negative review. Well, I kind of already did that in Boomerang, but Cool Out though, that's kind of hard to say because Cool Out is actually a really nice song to a lot of people. I'm sure that it applies to some people's lives, but it's too it's too I think it's too like catchy in a way. One of my dads said one thing my dad used to say was that even if it's something's catchy, it doesn't necessarily mean it's good. And I kind of like that because in this sense, I don't think it's good. I think it's catchy at the cool out like that. That's kind of cool. That's awesome. I like that little like wave, but it's not something that I would listen to. It's a little bit that's I think that's where it gets a little too repetitive. And there's another one called Burnout, which is kind of similar to that. I'll get to it too. But yeah, no, I think that this is one of the songs that definitely could have stayed a demo. And I've listened to some of the Origins demos. There's so many good songs out there that they could have put on the album, but they didn't. And it's a bummer. It's not. I'm not gonna shame them for it, but I don't think Cool Out should have been on the album. I don't think it was that cool. No pun intended. But yeah, no, I would say it's kind of a low level song. It's kind of too repetitive. When you listen to love songs all the time, this is one of those where it gets too repetitive. It's too it's not authentic anymore. You're hearing the same old thing again. It's just basic brevity. It's not something meaningful. So that's why I think of Cool Out. Next one is a really good one, Bad Liar. Oh my gosh, everyone loves Bad Liar. Like I don't know anyone who doesn't like it. Well, there are some people at my school who absolutely hate Imagine Dragons. They just like, oh my goodness, they're all over him. But no, Bad Liar is one of those songs where you can't hate really. The bridge to the chorus is amazing. I love the echoing where it goes, so look me in the eyes, and you can hear them, kind of speaking to each other over and over again. And the beat drop, there's no beat there. There's just like piano, and then that is echoing. There is a stripped version where they take out the echoing, which is kind of sad, but that version is okay too. I personally prefer the original version, the Bad Liar. And hey, let me just say one thing, guys. When I first listened to Bad Liar, I listened to the music video. So watching that the ballet dancer, the story of the ballet dancer and the high school student next to her, that was an amazing story too. I like that one. There is also a lyric video that's also meaningful of this girl, trying to conquer the sea. But I personally prefer the music video more. But Bad Liar is such an amazing song, and when you're in that place, and people who listen to this know what I mean, it hits hard. It's really hard. You know exactly what it's talking about. Where it's like Bad Liar is about faking. It's about like trying to be in a relationship with someone, trying to make it positive, trying to make it work, making a relationship work, feeling like getting that bond together and stabilizing it. But the other person on the other end is not doing their part, right? And you're really just faking it. You're denying the reality of what is really going on in your relationship and how it's not going to work out ever. But you're a bad liar because you just keep on trying to convince yourself that it's going to work out. Yeah, it's going to work out, but it's not. That's what Bad Liar is about. And I think that was an amazing song. And just so you guys know, there's an amazing story behind the song of how Dan Reynolds wrote it. It was when he and his wife were about to split. Okay, for the I think the first time, his wife, Aja Volkman, she helped write him this song because they were writing it on the end of their marriage. They were about to get divorced, and after writing the song, they decided we're gonna get together again, and that was such a happy, little ending for them. Unfortunately, if you know, recently after around the Mercury era, they split up, and that's very sad. I'm very sad for them, but I'm glad Dan is having his own life with his kids and Minka, I think, who's his new wife, and I hope Aja is doing fine too. But this is just an amazing song that they wrote together, so that's so you know cute and stuff. Next is West Coast. This song, at first, it kind of stuck to me because of that guitar. It really does feel like a Western song. And the verses, I think, are super cool. I am not very fond of the chorus or the pre chorus. It gets a little bit off and kind of whimsy. I would rather have had it being kind of that raspy Dan voice, which was at the start. That was what I liked more. So West Coast, personally, I think that was could have been produced better. And it was there's no actually other producers in the Magic Dragon, so it's just Dan and probably the other Dan Daniel Platzman, I mean, by Ben McKee and Wayne Sermon. So it was like an okay song. I would not put it in the A tier or the S tier, probably a B tier if I was doing a tier list. Maybe I should do a tier list eventually. Oh, next one is a really good one. Zero. Okay, so Zero is an interesting song because I listen to it all the time. This is like my life kind of like this is like I'm not saying my life in Magic Dragons, that's another song. But I'm saying that I can relate this to my life. This is just me on a plate, dude. Like Zero, oh my gosh. The entire song, all of the lyrics just relate to me in just some way or fashion. The start where it just goes, I find it hard to say the things I want to say the most. Find a little bit of steady as I get close. Find a balance in the middle of the chaos. Semi-low, semi-high, semi-never demigod. That is so right on, dude. That is like that. I feel like Dan, obviously, he lived a pretty introverted life when he first grew up, and it makes sense. You can kind of feel how he's able to the way that he's able to relate to this. I mean, if he was never an introvert, if he was like an extrovert or something, I am amazed by how he did it. But I'm pretty sure he used to be kind of introverted back when he was in school. Yeah, I kind of read his biography and stuff. But yeah, no, just really amazing song. And at the end, I'm kind of sad that they took out that little last part where Dan does like a little opera uh, loud yell at the end of the Wreck-It Ralph music video version. When he does a lyric video version and the actual album produced version, he doesn't do anymore. Or in the live version. The live version is really nice though. I wish they performed it a lot more. This is one of the songs where I just wish that they would keep it on. You know, they always perform Thunder, and it makes sense because it's one of their best hits. But I would say that if they were to replace Fire in These Hills like right now, that's one of their songs that they're currently always doing. I would replace it with Zero. I think Zero is one of those very good songs. Or Natural. They could replace Natural, honestly. Because, the viewers, they've heard this many times. So, okay, next one is Bullet in a Gun. Bullet in a Gun. This one is actually really nice one. These next two, I really like them. The next one's Digital. Bullet in a Gun is an interesting song because I find it to be catchy, but to an extent where I like it. Bullet in a Gun, it's about it's kind of hard to say. He goes through a lot of things, but it's kind of like three different meanings. But the main one is about realizing when that nothing can stay forever. When nothing's forever, there's always everything changes eventually. So leaders like the people that he listed, Augusto and Nero, right? Eventually, their time will come where the empire falls, and then when their leadership ends, the Roman Empire always falls. it just does. Right after the leader's gone, everything crumbles, chaos instantly, and bam, it's gone. And then you have to look for a new leader, right? So that's what Bullet in a Gun is about. It's kind of a fictional one, more fictional than the others. So I like it, especially that chorus where it goes bullet in a gun, hey, gun, okay, gun, hey, and it's just like it's constantly going between gun and hey. It's kind of like an interesting. The hey is very like bass, So I kind of like that, just the pattern, and then also the meaning behind the song is kind of cool too. It's very catchy. The pre-chorus and the chorus, so definitely a good song. I would say they could have made it better. I don't know how, but then it could have been less references and more on a one like story rather like Radioactive, where it's like one story. Um, Next was Digital. Digital was an interesting song for me because I used to listen to it all the time. Last year, Digital was like my main song. I think I might have been able to get it from like 2.9 million views to 3 million views because I listened to it so much. Like, it was just such an amazing song. I love the chorus. I used it in one of my Instagram reels because it was yeah, no, just really really meaningful to me. Where it goes, we are the face of the future. We are a digital heartbeat, and it goes, we don't want to change, we just want to change everything. That is such an amazing verse. uh, and looking at it now, when I think about it more, it just means so much to me. I know, obviously, when it comes to Dan, that's probably implying what he thinks politically, but that's okay. Like, obviously, he doesn't talk too much about it. I think that what's most important about digital is that it's so like open to what your life is about. Like, depending on what you're going through, you could apply this to anything, really. If you're like trying to become an entrepreneur or an inventor, right? You could be like, yeah, I want to change the world, right? And also, this is about the youth becoming better and growing, you know, raising humanity even higher in the skies, right? To where we are, developing us, helping us develop. And that's what our generation should do, I hope. And I hope that will happen in the future, is that this generation, me, and then, the future generations, we're only going to go higher, you know, continue to advance. Next is Only. This one is catchy again. It's kind of like Cool Out, but again, I just don't like it as much. I think Only's better than Cool Out. Uh, it kind of sounds like a Chainsmoker Coldplay kind of song. The one that they did, was it Something Just Like This? I think that was Chainsmokers in Coldplay. Yeah, it kind of sounds like that. It has that kind of, you know, electric sound to it at the chorus. So, but no, definitely B tier. Maybe even C tier. Stuck, that is a lot like Tide. Okay, first of all, the lyrics are even like Tide, the beats kind of like Tide, and there's nothing different about it than all the other songs that differentiates it, or nothing cool about it. So I would say it's definitely D tier for me. Stuck is not a great song. That's one of them where I have to agree with the masses. Most people don't like Stuck. I don't like Stuck. Most people don't like Digital or Bullet and a Gun. I like them both. So just count me out, guys. I'm different. All right, we're down to four songs now. Well, five in a way. Excuse me. Next one is Love. Okay, so this one is where obviously Dan is going into his worldview here about how there's too much violence going on. We just need more love in the world, and it's very simple. It's a very simple message, and he does a lot of this in his concerts. He'd bring out the pride flag, and he would just talk about how, do you want to be boxed? Don't let anyone box you, right? And it is a meaningful message to an extent, right? About how that, obviously no one wants war, guys. No one wants war. No one wants violence. You know, can we debate about how much we can deal with that? What we can do about that? Should we do as much? Should we fund so much? Is it that rampant? You know, that's something that we can debate on. But the overall message, obviously, just looking at the message clearly, no politics, just the message. Yes, this is a beautiful song. I like it. Okay, and also it's a very catchy song, very nice. I like the way that he incorporates that. The gospel choir again, like he did in "I Bet My Life" at the end. That's super nice, and the fact that he went over the top with more choruses, more choruses than just two or one, that shows that he's able to expand, and I like that a lot. Sorry, was there a shout out? Uh, oh yes, yes. What? Shout out to Eid 33 Eid. Is that what that is? Yeah. Shout out to Eid 33 Eid. Yeah, sure, you can have your shout out. Okay. So yeah, no, I think it's a really beautiful song in some way. I do think that it could be a little bit more It could definitely be a little bit more focused on like a story than just kind of the same thing going on. If you guys listen to the song, you'll know what I mean. I think it's a little repetitive, but it's a good song. It's not a bad song at all. So I think it's good. It's not bad. Next one is a song that is definitely a good one. I don't listen to it nearly as much anymore. It got a little old for me. But this one's Birds. Okay, Birds is definitely a S tier song. I did not know that there was a version with Joel Little, but there's an Alyssa version. I don't like the Alyssa version, but the regular Bird song it was good. It's good, and I think Dan still performs it now. It's a beautiful song about change, and the lyric video. I mean, the music video was about mother's love, right? Uh, there were multiple themes to it. The first theme was about being different. How does it feel to be different than other people? How do you cope with that? Obviously, the daughter in the video, she couldn't cope. She realized that no, I'm too different. I don't want to live life anymore. I just want to leave. I want to go and spread my wings. I'm just waiting to fly away. And her mother came to go get her. And unfortunately, it was during a storm. So when she went up there, her mother saw that a lightning bolt was about to strike her daughter, and she pulled her out of the way, and she took the lightning bolt for herself. And eventually, the daughter learned to cope. Right? This is just something that we have to go through. It's life. It's unfortunate that happened too early, but we move on. So that was what the song was about, and I think that Birds is just a very poetic way of putting that into a song. So yeah, I think it's a good song, and I'm glad that they still play it nowadays. It's definitely not one where I feel like they play it too repetitively. I do think Believer in Thunder are a little repetitive. Whatever it takes, not so much. But definitely Believer in Thunder. They could be replaced for a couple of concerts. I don't know about all of them, but yeah, I could replace them. Next is Burnout. Okay, so this one is interesting because it's not cool out at all. It's different. Uh, I actually forgot what this one's about. Let me look at it. But uh, I just want to say it's an okay song. It does have some. It definitely does have a little bit of screaming behind it, which is I like that. But Burnout is different, right? It's not catchy, and it's not that great of a song, unfortunately for me. Yeah, let me look at these lyrics right here. Okay, so it's basically about hardships, trying to get over hardships, you know, depression especially. And Dan, he talks openly about how he had to deal with depression, so we can kind of understand where this is coming from. But yeah, no, this is a good song too. I just don't think that it's catchy at all. I don't like the instruments that they use. I feel like they could have done something so much different. These are songs that they could have definitely put something new on the album. If you guys want some recommendations, I will listen to these following Origin demos. Look them up on YouTube. You can find them. Just look up the name Imagine Dragons demo. Don't look up Demons. Okay, that's different. Okay, but demo. Okay, and here are the songs that I would recommend: Foolish, Sooner or Later, and uh, Glow. Those are three amazing Origins demos, and there are more, but these are just some of the best ones that I think are demos. They were never released, but they could definitely replace the album, some of the album songs at least. Okay, so now we're down to the final two. Real Life is next. Real Life doesn't have any meaning to me personally. I don't get the song. I'll listen to it some more times, a couple more times, but I just don't like the way it was written personally. These are some of those where I can't talk too much about them. Not because I can't, but because I just don't like them that much. There's nothing to talk about. I just don't like the way that was produced. And like Real Life, it just feels like he said whenever singers say the name of the song too early, it loses the attraction for me. Like I want to figure out where it takes, like why would he use this, right? Why would someone use this? Um, I actually like it more when the name isn't even put into the song, because then you just realize that hey, this is kind of what encapsulates the whole meaning behind the song. Uh, Lastly is Born to Be Yours. This one was produced with Kygo, the a very similar song producers to Avicii, and this was a very nice song. I listen to it all the time with my family. It's a really nice song. Born to Be Yours. It's just a really cute love song. It's one of those love songs where it's not like too much. It doesn't overdo things. It's just cute. I really like songs like that. So, Born to Be Yours, really nice. I like the way it's produced. The violin in the second verse was awesome. The guitar, and then the I was born to be yours. I was born. That's really, really catchy. I love it. So, Imagine Dragons did a really great job with this album. Overall, I give it like an 8 out of 10. Great songs. The issue that, and a very fair point that a lot of people make, is that this album has Imagine Dragons' best songs, but also has some of their worst ones. You know, so and that's up to interpretation of which ones are good, which ones are bad. But it's undeniable. Some of the songs there are not good. So yeah, I think that was those are my ideas on those ones. If you want me to think about which ones are my favorite ones, I would say, let's see here. I'm not gonna count Born to Be Yours because that one's by a different person. Well, it's by it's a collaboration, but I don't really count collaborations. I would say my favorites are Machine, Zero, Bad Liar, and Digital. I'm leaving out some of the good ones because Boomerang, Natural, and Bullet and a Gun, those ones are good too. But my favorites would be just those four: Machine, Bad Liar, Zero, and Digital. Not in any order. If I had to put them in order, probably Bad Liar would go first, and then maybe Machine and Digital, and then no, I'd have to do Zero, Bad Liar, Machine, and Digital. But yeah, no, those were my ideas, guys. Thank you for listening in. Hopefully you guys agree with me. I don't know if you guys would, but yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Let me know if you guys want me to talk about any of the other albums. I will definitely try and do that. There are definitely some really good songs I want to talk about. Let's do Evolve next, maybe, and we'll see what we can do about Smoke and Mirrors and Night Visions. So I need to start listening to some more Imagine Dragons. See you guys next month. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next live stream.